Marriage isn't a necessity for happiness. It's just one of many paths to a fulfilled life. My choice not to marry is about honoring my individuality and living authentically. Some say marriage is the ultimate goal, but I believe true success is learning to love yourself, whether you're alone or with someone else. Society tells me I should get married, but my heart whispers that freedom and self-discovery are my true priorities. I've seen marriages that inspire me and others that terrify me. Right now, I choose to write my own story without that chapter. I don't want to get married because I value partnership over paperwork, love over labels, and connection over conformity. The idea of marriage doesn't scare me, but the loss of independence does. I cherish my freedom too much to let it go. Choosing not to marry isn't about rejecting love. It's about redefining it in a way that feels true to me. Marriage seems like a beautiful commitment, but for now, I'm committed to my dreams, my goals, and my personal growth. I don't want to get married, not because I don't believe in love, but because I believe love shouldn't require a legal contract. For me, life isn't about finding the one. It's about becoming the best version of myself. People ask why I don't want to get married, but the real question is why marriage is considered the ultimate destination for everyone. I don't want to get married because I refuse to define my happiness by someone else's expectations. Marriage feels like a societal obligation, and I refuse to let expectations dictate the course of my life. I value love deeply, but I also value my autonomy. For now, marriage feels like a compromise I don't want to make. The idea of marriage has never resonated with me. I want a love that's free, organic, and untethered by formalities. I choose to live my life on my terms, and marriage just doesn't fit into the picture I want to paint. I don't need a wedding ring to validate my worth or my relationships. My life is already full of meaning. Marriage often feels like a societal checkbox. I'm more interested in creating a life that's authentically mine. Love should be freeing, not confining. Marriage feels like a cage, and I prefer to keep my wings unclipped. It's not about rejecting love. It's about rejecting the expectations tied to it. Marriage just isn't for me. I don't want to get married because I see happiness as a journey I take alone, even if someone walks beside me. Marriage is beautiful for some, but for me, it's a chapter I don't feel the need to write. People think I'm afraid of commitment, but the truth is, I'm more afraid of losing myself. I want to love without rules, grow without restrictions, and live without societal pressures. Marriage doesn't align with that vision. It's not that I don't believe in love. I just believe in living a life that's free, unchained, and limitless. The thought of marriage feels like tying a knot too tight. I prefer relationships that breathe and grow naturally. I don't want to get married because my soul craves freedom, not possession. For me, marriage feels more like a tradition than a necessity, and traditions aren't always meant to be followed. I'm not anti-marriage. I'm just pro-choice when it comes to how I define my relationships and my life. Marriage isn't the only way to find love, stability, or joy. Sometimes the unconventional paths are the most fulfilling. I don't need to be married to prove my love. My actions and commitment speak louder than vows ever could. I want to grow with someone, not be bound by them. For me, marriage feels more like an anchor than a sail. The idea of forever is beautiful, but I don't think a wedding band is the only way to honor it. I don't want to get married because I want to be free to evolve, change, and reinvent myself without constraint. Society says marriage is the key to happiness, but I've learned that the lock is within me, and I've already found the key. Marriage feels like a finish line, but life is a marathon. I'd rather keep running and discovering new paths. For some, marriage is the dream. For me, the dream is living life unapologetically my way. I don't want to get married because my happiness doesn't depend on a ring, a ceremony, or a title. Some fear being alone, but I fear losing myself in someone else's expectations. Marriage isn't the enemy, but neither is choosing to live a life free from its boundaries. I want to experience love in its rawest, purest form, free from obligations, rules, and legalities. I don't need a wedding to prove my worth or the strength of my relationships. Marriage can be beautiful, but so can independence. Right now, the latter feels more like home. I don't want to get married because I want my life to be a canvas I paint on my own terms. For me, love is more meaningful when it's chosen daily, not assumed because of a vow. I've seen love thrive without marriage and crumble within it. My choice isn't a rejection of love, but an embrace of freedom. The fairy tale of marriage doesn't resonate with me. I'm writing a different story, and it doesn't need a prince or a princess. I don't want to get married because my life feels complete without it. My joy isn't tied to a ring or a ceremony. Marriage doesn't define commitment. My commitment is to living authentically, whatever that looks like. I believe in love, but I don't believe that marriage is the only way to express it. I don't want to get married because I believe the truest love is unconditional, unbound, and unapologetically free. My happiness isn't tied to a person, a ring, or a ceremony. It's tied to my soul and my freedom. Marriage might work for some, but I prefer a life where love is chosen, not assumed or expected. I don't want to get married because the idea of forever feels less important than being fully present today. Life isn't about following someone else's script. For me, marriage feels like a scene I can skip. I choose to love freely, live authentically, and honor my independence. Marriage doesn't align with that choice. Love is not less valid without marriage. I choose to honor my relationships in ways that feel true to me. I don't want to get married because my soul craves a different kind of journey, one that isn't tied to traditional norms. Marriage isn't the enemy, but neither is choosing to live life untethered by its constraints. The beauty of life is that we all get to choose our paths. For now, my path doesn't include marriage, and that's perfectly okay. Not wanting to get married isn't about rejecting love. It's about embracing the kind of freedom that allows me to grow into my fullest self. I don't see marriage as a goal. I see it as an option. And right now, it's not the option I'm choosing. Some people view marriage as a safety net, but I've learned to catch myself, and that's a strength I cherish. I'd rather walk alone on a path of authenticity than follow a trail that isn't mine just because it's expected. For me, love is about choice and intention, not obligation or tradition. That's why I don't feel the need to marry. Marriage doesn't scare me, but losing myself in the process does. That's why I'm choosing a different journey. I don't want to get married because I believe love doesn't need a contract. It needs connection, trust, and freedom. Society celebrates weddings, but I celebrate the courage to live life authentically, even if it means going against the grain. The idea of marriage feels too much like a script, and I've always preferred to improvise my way through life. I'm not against love or commitment. I'm against the notion that marriage is the only validated expression of either. I've seen people lose themselves in marriage, and I'm determined to stay rooted in my own identity with or without a partner. I don't need a ceremony or vows to define my relationships. I trust love to flourish on its own terms. Marriage often feels like a box people fit into, but I've always been someone who colors outside the lines. I don't want to get married because I believe in love that evolves freely, unshackled by societal expectations. For some, marriage is the pinnacle of love. For me, it's just one of many ways to honor connection, and not the one I'm choosing. My choice to avoid marriage isn't about fear, it's about respecting the life I've built for myself. I believe love thrives when it's not tied to obligation. That's why I choose not to marry. Marriage feels like a conclusion, but my life is an open book, and I'm still writing the chapters. I don't want to get married because my dreams and ambitions deserve as much commitment as any relationship ever could. My decision isn't about rejecting love. It's about redefining it in a way that aligns with my truth. Marriage often comes with expectations, and I'd rather live in a space where love is given freely, not demanded. I don't want to get married because I value relationships that are based on mutual respect, not societal roles or labels. For me, life is about adventure, growth, and self-discovery, and marriage just doesn't fit into that picture right now. I've chosen a path where love is fluid, unrestricted, and deeply personal, and marriage feels like a barrier to that. Some say marriage is the ultimate commitment, but I believe committing to myself is just as valuable. I don't want to get married because my freedom is a gift I'm not willing to give up. Marriage can be beautiful, but so can a life lived authentically without following a traditional script. I don't see marriage as a rejection of love. I see it as a choice I don't have to make to live a meaningful life.